Hi, my babies. Hi, my babies. Hi, and welcome back to another spiritual message. Today's spiritual message is your mountains will be turned to hills. They keep bringing up this message for the last month and some change. They keep bringing up this message. And I told y'all, when I did that channel message for the lady, I didn't use any cards. It was on a live. She didn't pay me or anything. She just popped up in my chat and a whole message came out for her. And one of the last things that they said to her is your mountains will be turned to hills. And I was like, what does that mean? And they meant that your obstacles will be turned to blessings. Your burdens will be turned to blessings, actually, is what they said. And this message keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up. And yes, we're in the 9 year. Yes, this is the year of rewards and success, but it's also the year of deep introspection and closing final chapters and doing some deep inner child healing and also dealing with karma as well. So it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies and unicorns all the time. I know it's definitely going to be some mountains. It's definitely going to be some hills. And in order to get to the top of that, or in order to be able to overcome it, baby, you're going to have to do the work for real. It's not about just putting on a smile to the world or being able to provide your credentials. No. Who are you really on the inside? Are you really a good person? The 9 year will definitely reveal that. So they sent me this message a little while ago with the mountains and the hill message. And basically, once again, all of the 8 year, it was prep time. It was prep time. That's why they started telling me, get them prep now. Start going in harder now. Because this is going to be a year of high energetic and emotional sensitivity. So you might as well go ahead and start peeling back the layers now. So that's what we did. We got y'all prepped in the garden for it. This is the thing about when you have an obstacle in front of you, whether it's a mountain or whether it's a giant. You can plan how you're going to overcome it. You can plan how you're going to accomplish it or whatever it may be. But if you don't have the determination and the passion and the willpower, then none of that matters. None of that matters. Because you could plan, but just like I posted out the book that I've been telling y'all to go get off Amazon, Life is Tremendous by Charlie Tremendous Jones, over 1 million copies sold. He mentioned flexible planning. Okay, what about if you run into a storm going up the mountain, or you run into a mountain lion, or what if your clothing gets caught on something and you're stuck and you need to cut yourself free, or whatever it may be? It's in the journey when you get the skills, it's when you get the experience, but also when you get tested the hardest. So to those who have been facing multiple mountains in your life, know that this is your sign. That even though it may feel like you don't have people in your corner and they're just in your proximity, know that you can lean on God, baby. Okay? Know that you can lean on God, baby. Because this Venus retrograde and these eclipses is really bringing the ugh and ugly out of people. Okay? So the scripture that they gave me is, now I'm going to probably mess the names up just a wee bit, being the fact I don't have a church home and I've been looking for one and no one will let me in. So we're over here trying to figure it out the best that we can. All right. It says, Joseph named his firstborn Manasseh, meaning God has made me forget entirely my troubles in my father's house. And the second he named Ephraim, meaning God has made me fruitful in the land of my affliction. I just said that the mountains stand for your obstacles, your burdens, your issues, your problems, whether it's internal or external. Okay? Whether it's something that happened, with your bloodline, or maybe people that were strangers at one point. I just said that they will turn those burdens, those obstacles, those tests into your blessings. And the first son, he named God has made me forget entirely my troubles in my Father's house. That's just like an Olympian. They train and they train and they train. And they don't train like how the regular athletes train. The regular athletes, they do enough training to get them through the season. No, Olympians have to train for 4 years, okay? For 4 years. Then they have to qualify for this event. They have to prove why they are worthy to be at this event. And some of them, honey, some of them, they might be worthy to be at the event and not qualified. But that goes back to the difference between being prepared and ready. You might not be prepared, but you ready though. They're saying some of y'all, this is your season, baby, where your troubles, where your afflictions are being turned into your blessings, being turned into your wisdom, being turned into your lessons. They don't carry the same heavy weight that they did before. Because it's just like to anybody who knows the story Holes that they turned into a movie. I believe Disney turned it into a movie. That was actually one of my favorite books growing up. I love reading that story. Like, I used to get pulled into it. And one of the stories that they cover in the book is the young man that wanted to be able to basically be strong enough and wealthy enough, or whatever the case may have been, to be able to marry like basically the most beautiful woman in the village. And he went to the older woman, and the older woman basically was telling him that he would be able to complete whatever the task would be to be able to marry that young lady if he did a certain amount of training for a certain amount of time a certain way. And that was carrying her up the mountain. And at first she was heavy, but as the days went by and as the weeks went by, because this is the thing when you're the chosen one. I say he had to carry the lady up the mountain. You're carrying other people up the mountain, Harriet Tubman. Okay? You are like a shepherd. Okay? You're carrying other, exactly. Harriet Tubman was a shepherd. A lot of people don't look at it like that though. Exactly. Listen with your spiritual ears. You're carrying other people, other people's weight, other people's burdens, other people's problems, other people's troubles up the mountain along with your own, along with your bloodlines own as well. You carrying a lot of weight with you. You gonna get hit with a lot of tests, a lot of storms, a lot of obstacles. But the more and more you go up this mountain, the stronger and stronger you will get. It won't even feel like you're going up a mountain. It's going to feel like you're going up a hill, baby. Okay, I said, catch it now. God has made me forget entirely my troubles in my Father's house because you have become so prepared and trained for this season is what I'm hearing. You're not going to remember how bad it hurt on the first day, boo. You're not going to, because you're trained now to deal with that certain level, I'm hearing, of endurance. But basically, that's what you reach, a certain level of endurance. And then you got to challenge yourself more. Okay, this is now for the week. Let me tell you, honey, okay? Also says the second he named Ephraim, I think I'm jacking his name all up, but God has made me fruitful in the land of my afflictions. I posted at the beginning of the year the challenge, well, the exercise, building your garden. And basically we're turning over the garden, we're setting new routines, we're being around better energy, we're being intentional with our mood and what we're focusing on, and thinking more positive and pouring self-love back into us. Okay? That's what turning over your garden is. How can we redirect the ship? Because God is still working. But you got to redirect it. Make sure you're going in the right direction. Because sailboats, they do work off of motors these days. But there's a point in time when the wind reaches, come on now. When the wind reaches a certain, knots and things of that nature, is when they could let their sails go up. And then the wind carries them. They don't have to use the motor. They cut the motor off. Know when to cut the motor on. And when you're driving And then you got to know when to cut the motor off and allow the sails to go up and allow God to drive. What I say, take your hands off it. God says, yes, I seen what you going through. And yeah, I know it ain't right. I know you taking a lot of hits, a lot of unnecessary hits. I know you're taking a lot of things, but baby, that's what you signed up for. It's all part of this process. Yeah, you feeling a lot of burning, a lot of stinging, a lot of backstabbing. But it's all part of this process. A lot of greed. Okay, but it's all part of this process. God has made me fruitful in the land of my afflictions. What I say, try to bury me, but they ain't know I was a seed. Tried to snatch my crown, but it's royalty I bleed. It's the same thing this scripture just said. God has made me fruitful in the land of my afflictions. Yeah, you may have tried to bury me. You may have tried to hide me. You may have tried to carry me up, cover me up. But I still was able to sprout. I still was able to bud. I still was able to bust through that concrete though. Regardless of the environment I was in. Because the environment that I was in was constantly taking from me, constantly draining me, constantly taking away from my nourishment. But even through the affliction, even through the pain, even through the agony, you were still able to be fruitful. You were still able to sprout. You were still able to bust through. It's something about 7 years that keeps coming up. Now, I know we just had a moon that passed, and it spoke about, especially with Virgo, because it was in the sign of Virgo, about how the last 15 years, like the troubles that you've been going through the last 15 years had ended. But the scripture right after it spoke about how the 7 years of abundance had ended, and then how the 7 years of basically affliction started setting in. Some of y'all, they saying you've been going through it for the last 7 years, boo. This is your sign. 7 is the number of introspection. God just had you on that potter's wheel. God was polishing you up. God was making you better. God was preparing you for such a time as this. God was preparing you for certain tasks that nobody else could fulfill but you. That blueprint, baby. Make sure you stick to it. Because just like the field of dreams, why you cutting up your crops for? You're going to lose a whole bunch of money, this, that, and the third. You're never going to make it through. Yet they were able to pay their mortgage every month, though. They penny pension, yeah, they was. But they was able to pay that mortgage every month, though. And because he was obedient, he followed the vision and the signs that he was getting throughout the whole movie. He was able, and ain't it interesting how a baseball field is in the shape of a diamond, shine bright like a diamond. Then I say God polishing you up like a diamond, baby. He was able to play baseball with his father who passed away. God gave him a gift that was irreplaceable, that you could now monetize. That you can't put no price value on, no, as far as money. That's what life is really about. The true joyful experiences of life, the things that money can never buy. I'm here on Push the T. Ask Steve Jobs, wealth don't buy health. But then as the movie is panning out, like the camera pans out so the movie can end. Yeah, he playing baseball with his pops. That's something that money can't buy. But then here come this long line of cars, all willing to pay this man to watch him play baseball with his pops. Your gifts will make room for you. Long as you be obedient, you stick to that blueprint, baby. Okay, because they keep mentioning blessings coming in by the 2s and the 3s. That man got blessed technically 3 times. Because he also got to watch some baseball legends that passed away play baseball as well. That's something that's irreplaceable. I'm trying to tell you, when you could connect with that other side, the people that's no longer walking on this earth that was legends, that's a whole nother feeling, okay? That's a whole nother conversation. He got so many valuable lessons. He stepped into his true authenticity, but also his power, his God-given power, his Godfidence. The whole town turned against him, but his wife and his daughter were standing 10 toes down with him. James Earl Jones tried to hurt him when they first met, but then James Earl Jones, he said something that clicked, and James Earl Jones knew that that was nothing but the divine. And he went along with him on his plan. But he tried to hurt the man at first though. He tried to hurt the man at first though. But then he went along with his plan and he stood 10 toes down with him. They will send the right people at the right time. Baby, just stick to your vision. Be obedient. If you build it, they will come. Even in your season of affliction. And I know it's hard, y'all. Trust me, I do. Do not give up your faith. Because I keep hearing God's got a blessing with your name on it. Know that God is up to something. Okay? Know that God is up to something. And you're entering into a season where you will forget your troubles and you will forget your afflictions. And you will be fruitful even in the midst of a storm. You will be fruitful even when the whole town come against you. You will be fruitful even when everybody turn their back against you. You will be fruitful even in your afflictions. Because right now, although you may not be able to see it yet because it might be foggy, the sun may not have came out yet, sun may not have broke through the clouds yet, but your mountains are being turned to hills. I said, think about it. Love you, babies. Mwah.